Good afternoon on what is a cold, grey and blustery day. It is Tuesday, the 10th of December, and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. And what I've got in here is a copy of Arnhem Black Tuesday by Al Murray, which carries the tagline, "The classic battle told as never before." So this book is interesting in a couple of ways. Well, first off, it's written by Al Murray, who's best known as a comedian, the pub landlord, but he also presents a podcast called We Have Ways of Making You Talk, which talks about particular battles, and of course one of those will have been Arnhem. And he co-hosts that with James Holland, the historian, and who has essentially a quick blurb there praising the book. So a little bit of nepotism there, I would think, but nevertheless, Al Murray does actually have a degree in modern history, so he has an interest in history, particularly in World War II. And talking about this battle will be interesting in and of itself. So, the Battle of Arnhem is one of the best-known stories in British military history. A daring but doomed attempt to secure a vital bridgehead across the Rhine in order to end the war before Christmas 1944. It is always written about, with the benefit of an erring 2020 hindsight, as being destined to fail. But the men who fought there, men of military legend, didn't know that was to be their fate. By focusing on the events of one day as they happened through the eyes of the British participants, and without bringing any knowledge of what would happen tomorrow to bear, Al Murray offers a very different perspective on a familiar narrative. Some things went right and a great many things went wrong, but recounting them in this way allows the reader to understand for the first time how certain decisions were taken in the moment and how opportunities were squandered. Tuesday, 19th of September 1944 was the terrible day which became known as Black Tuesday. From just 1200 hours, while plans were being made to seize the initiative, and optimism reigned to the following midnight when Arnhem was burning and the Allied fortunes looked very different. A mere 24 hours changed the course of the war. Al Murray has always been interested in this legendary battle, and in Arnhem Black Tuesday, he showcases all of his knowledge, interpretation, and enthusiasm to tell the story of one of the history's greatest heroic failures differently for the first time. And yes, it is indeed portrayed as a heroic failure. One last epic plan to basically spearhead an attack into Nazi Germany and end the war early by at least a year. It would go on for another year after 1944, of course. So we have inside, we've got basically there's all the kit issued to a parachute lance corporal during the operation, and then carrying on, contents and some credits page, and here we have the beginning of the timeline. So broken down by locations across the top here, and then going through the different locations hour by hour. We've got a aerial view of glider landing locations, and then Operation Market Garden maps, and a map of forces in and around Arnhem on the day, and then aerial photographs of the locations listed in that timeline. So this is the woods, and the town, and the bottleneck, some of the terrain in the town that the Germans were defending and the Allies had to attack, bridge area north of the bank, and so on. So period photographs taken from the time. Then we go on to a list of and photographs of the major principal characters involved. So very nicely presented in terms of that, giving you a lot of background and detail just in the first few pages before we even get to the introduction. So I'm going to flip forward. So, you know, really, you know, we are talking, what we're doing here is we're going from essentially the woods, the village, the town, and back again over the course of the day, throughout, supported by photographs from the period. So we've got sort of like a couple of sets of photographs. In the middle here we actually have more maps. So for example, here we've got like the woods, the retreat in the afternoon, and then we're basically back into the town. And yet more photographs here in the middle section. So in some ways, you kind of think about this battle is really thought about via a couple of means. If you're a war gamer or historian, then you've got plenty of books and games and war games to go to and look at. For the average person, I suppose, if they think about this battle at all, they're thinking of the film from the mid-70s, incredibly star-studded cast, directed by Richard Attenborough, A Bridge Too Far, you know, almost like the campaign itself was not a success as far as I recall, but still worth a watch because it's an incredibly well done film. So yeah, I mean, basically that's what basically informs most of the public if they think about the battle at all, because after all it is now 80 years ago and out of memory, as it were. So order of battle for Operation Market Garden in the first of the appendices. So we've got and then we've only one appendix, then we've got the notes there for the different chapters. Basically here we've got a supply pannier having been dropped, because obviously, you know, the battle lasted longer than anticipated. They were dropping supplies in. So we've got the notes, bibliography and sources, acknowledgements, index, and of course about the author, and more images. Space including prisoners of war towards the end of the battle, during the battle. And then the key to the end papers. Essentially, there we go, that's it. And then you've got the author's basically own blurb on the flyleaf. So that is on Black Tuesday, and it's going to probably be quite immensely readable in sense of, you know, that you know, it's not written it's not necessarily written by a hardcore historian, but someone who is interested in history, as it were. That's not to denigrate his efforts, of course. So, you know, but yeah, I think if you're interested in World War II and want to read sort of like about Arnhem, you know, in this appropriate year, again, you know, 80 years since the battle, then yeah, it would make sense. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll typically see me out here with a box containing a book or game or role-playing supplement, in this case a history book, which I will unbox and test about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. Back again soon with another one. Bye for now.